Yeah, man. So this is live right now. So actually,
Okay.
the audience, the German audience, our audience is watching this.
Okay.
And to be totally honest, actually, we're done with the talking. Mark told me everything,
done.
showed me everything. I'm sorry. No, Mark, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really cool that you took your time actually and being here. And you and your team actually.
Yeah.
You were one of those really big surprises at E3 this year.
Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn, new IP, Sony PlayStation. All of a sudden, whoopsie daisy, here's a new IP. And we got this really impressive gameplay video, this
Yeah.
gameplay footage, and a really strong looking character, right? And robot dinosaurs, how'd you call them for yourself?
So, yeah, we call them machines.
Just machines?
Yeah, just machine. Well, the interesting bit is you said robot dinosaurs.
Yeah.
We got a lot of machines in this game. And they may not all look like dinosaurs.
All right.
And so, putting that on, like, you're making an assumption.
All right, yeah.
So, we just might want to backtrack off that a little bit.
All right.
There might be some machines that you see that are definitely on dinosaur-like.
Are there robot lions as well?
There are no robots. They're all machines. They're all machines.
Machine dinosaurs.
That's right.
Now we're talking. Top.
Yes.
Dankeschön, man.
Thank you.
It's
thank
cold,
you.
man.
Yeah, appreciate
Cheers,
it. Yeah.
cheers. Yeah, man. Let's just have a chat. So actually, Guerilla Games. You told me that before. In the internet, you can read that Guerilla Games was founded in the year 2000.
Yeah.
And Guerilla Games is. You made the whole Killzone series.
Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
actually, all you did was always PlayStation exclusive, right? And right now, whoop, Killzone is still there. You're still working on Killzone, but now the new IP. Can you tell us something about Guerilla Games and the path and especially your personal story?
Yeah,
man?
yeah. So I guess a couple of things that are interesting is actually Guerilla started off as a sort of a combination of a couple of different Dutch game companies.
All right.
They've actually been making games way back since the Game Boy. And it hasn't always been PlayStation exclusives. There's actually a Shell Shock game that was made before.
What game? Shell Shock?
Shell Shock, yeah. That was
Shell
made-
Shock, all right. Got it, man. Yeah.
That was made back,
Nice.
I'm pretty sure it was on the Xbox.
All right.
And so we certainly started the PlayStation exclusive partnership a little bit later with the Killzone franchise. And we've been working on Killzone for more than a decade now. And we love Killzone. It's the root of the studio in many ways. A number of the people, especially the chief creatives, the Matthias de Jongas, the Jan Bart van Beeks, the studio art director and the game director for Horizon Zero Dawn have been through all of these titles and worked on these things. And so there's this really proud studio heritage with what we did with Killzone.
Yeah.
But after a decade of sort of grays and gritty, we really wanted to take an opportunity to build something that was honestly just majestic and beautiful, something that captured the imagination in a very different way, something that allowed us to express some hope. And so even though we're in this world that we call a post-apocalyptic world, it's not that typical post-apocalyptic world. It's like all these grays and gritty, and it's kind of ugly and disgusting. There's elements of blues and greens. There's this element of hope, and it's decidedly a different experience. And so we couldn't
You're
be
really
more excited.
looking on the title and in the process, while being in the process on this, like really, okay, we come from this, and let's do something with hope. So hope is one tag we use for the new title. Let's get the colors, which stands for hope. Okay, it's blue, it's green, all right. We need nature, we need something like that. This is how you work, right? So this is how you create ideas. Or
I would say that the idea started with the idea that we had this amazing idea for where we wanted to take the studio.
All right.
And so the studio executive kind of got together, and the way that the studio pitch process works and the way that Guerilla just works in general is it's a Dutch company. And the Dutch as a culture are fantastic in terms of democracy. They love to include everyone in decision making. And so this pitch process, it was opened up to the entirety of the studio, more than 180 people.
Really?
Everyone. Everyone was allowed to make a pitch. So they said, hey, listen, we want to make a new game. We're looking at making a new IP. You guys have expressed that you've made Killzone for a long time. We want to take this opportunity. What do you guys think? And so more than 45 actual full game pitches, and there were some ideas, just in terms of small concepts and some big concepts and some features, but ultimately there was one that stood above the rest. And even that was democratically elected. Like there were these two ones that kind of came to the end, and we were like, how do you make this choice between this one and this one? And we kind of turned it to the studio, and one of these was Horizon, and it was the one that we thought kind of had the most ambition to it, but easily the most risk. This idea of doing an open world game and an action RPG and stuff that we hadn't done before. And then we had kind of a safer approach, something that was kind of more in the wheelhouse of games that we had made previously.
But always AAA title.
Yeah,
like,
always AAA,
all right.
always AAA big games.
All right.
That's what we do. Big, beautiful AAA. There are Guerilla core pillars at the Guerilla level. We always want to do things that have a sci-fi tint to them. We always want to do things that have really strong action combat, as an example. But there were these two concepts. And overwhelmingly, the studio was like, we want to take the risk, we want to take on the ambition, and we want to make Horizon. And for a couple of years there, we were like, yeah, this is totally the right decision. And of course, we were getting towards E3, and we were like, oh God, is this the right? Was this like? Because you don't know what the players are going to think. You don't.
Nobody in the world had thought about a new IP at that point at 83. I mean, this is what, 6 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
It's just 6 weeks ago.
I know. It feels. Yeah, it feels like a long time now. But yeah, it was only 6 weeks ago. We revealed it to the world. So.
Yeah, man. So how was that? You told me before, so I know the story, but it would be really nice because, bringing out new IP, it's lots of political interest in there and marketing interest. Nobody can talk about it. I'm pretty sure you had to sign NDAs like that size, from the ground, like. Because, nobody noticed this new title. I mean, nowadays in the industry, people use it kind of as a tool, to put a hoax out, and then try to steer it and go viral with it. Yeah. But no one in the world actually heard Horizon Zero Dawn before, right? How is that? How does it work?
Well, it's a good question. We actually, in fairness, there are a couple of sites that we like to frequent. There's the NeoGAFs of the world. That actually, there was this small leak that had a couple of images that had come out. I want to say they came out like December-ish.
All right, okay.
And at first we were like, oh my God, like totally this thing just got spoiled. The realization slowly crept in. Not everyone had seen these things. And so it was still really contained.
I haven't seen it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even though it had been out there a little bit, we were actually able to track some metrics from it. Like we were actually seeing some of the buzz that was actually being captured from some of the other websites. And that was actually one of the first times that we knew that we were onto something. Was this tiny little leak that came out that we were like, oh my God, this is like the worst thing. We actually had a really smart, it was actually our community management team that was like, no, this leak came out. We can see, like this is almost like a focus test. We can see what people are saying. We can see what the impressions are. And sort of the initial impressions were, we don't know what the hell this is.
Robot dinosaurs.
It looks like robot dinosaurs.
That's what I say, right?
Crazy tribes with Vikings and what exactly? We don't know what it is, but we're interested. And I think we were able to kind of piggyback on the back of that initial sort of excitement to go. We think something cool might be happening here, and. Obviously, now we're here at Gamescom, and we've shown the game a couple of times now here down in the theater, which is beautiful. If you have the ability to Gamescom, come, because it's amazing. But we've shown it a couple times, and even though it's similar to what we showed at E3, the audience is really reacting really positively to it. So it's nice to see that even across the pond now, that the German consumers in Europe is as supportive of what we were doing as seemingly what was happening over in the U.S. with E3. So we're blown away. We can't be any more excited about showing this thing off.
Yeah, good to hear, man. When was the first time? So you said you had this democratic vote about the different concepts.
Sure.
When was that? Is it 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
So technically, we did a lot of that in 2011. And what makes people think is like, oh, you've been working on this game for 4 years. Like, why isn't it done? There are other people who ask that question of us.
Really?
Like accountants, they're like, hey, can you get the game done? But of course, games take time. And especially new IPs.
Especially new IPs and especially open worlds, especially on this new technology, especially and that frame rate everyone wants to have.
Exactly right.
I mean, 4 years, but getting the idea and deciding which path to follow, right?
Exactly right. And of course, there were a couple of things that were happening during that period of time. We had the idea for Horizon back in 2011, but we actually had like a small team working on it. At first, there were only 10 people. We actually put that up to about 20 people for a little while.
All right.
But then, of course, Killzone's a PlayStation 4 launch title with Killzone Shadowfall, and we had to make sure that we supported that. And that wasn't just because we needed to make sure that Killzone Shadowfall stood out and was a really great launch title for the PlayStation 4 platform at the time. we also were going to get the benefits of the work that was being done on the Killzone Shadowfall engine inside of Horizon Zero Dawn. So even though we weren't technically, we had lost a couple of members off the Horizon team to go help on Killzone.
You worked.
Yeah,
you
it kind of worked.
As well,
it worked
right?
in this sort of roundabout way that we're actually getting the benefit of all that work that they did. So really, the hardcore production on Horizon, we really kind of started at the beginning of 2014 after Shadowfall had shipped.
Oh man!
So yeah.
All right. So actually, I really want to hop on your personal story. So,
sure.
But let's just have one last question about Horizon. So many people are asking, right? You said before, you can see there's a cinema here at Gamescom booth, so you can see really good footage there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And many people really, you know the drill, you know the questions. Everyone, you see something as we talked about, right? And then people want to get more and see more. Yeah. And all what we have right now is this, what we can see right now. So. Is there anything you can tell us, and without being grumpy to you? So because everyone out there, I know that not that I have to ask it because I want to ask for myself. So, but it's only cool if you say, "Sorry, dude, it's not possible to announce anything about the game." So, will there be a robo dinosaur machine, something special, for example?
Sure. I think the reality of Horizon Zero Dawn is we've got a long way yet to go.
All right.
So we've announced the game, and we brought the game out there, and people in the world are seeing it for the first time, and we're calling this sort of the E3/Gamescom tour that we're kind of doing now. We're going to intend to show the game at a couple of different places, but we're not yet ready to talk about what the next big beat is, and there's a reason for that. It's not because we don't know what it is, or it's not because we're not excited, and that I desperately want to continue to talk about all the cool things that this game has and that it's going to do. It's because we want to make sure that when we talk about those things that we can show you exactly
that's ready,
what those
right?
things are.
Right, okay.
And so it's one thing to have a talking head, just kind of explain something. It's another thing entirely to have somebody show you. Because in this business, in the video game business, it's all about showing, not telling. And so I think when we come out with that next big beat, I think people are going to be really excited about it. And we're starting to take a look at what that might be.
All right. So what about Tokyo Game Show? So I mean, people in the Western world, we always talk or nearly talk about prior E3 and then the Gamescom, right? So this year, as we said before, it's like 6 weeks. So. Yes, I think a few companies out there, big companies like you have kind of other strategies like, okay, we put information set A on E3 and information set B on Gamescom, right? But it's just 6 weeks. It doesn't make sense for me, for myself, right? I saw the E3 footage, so and from that point, as a consumer, actually, I wanted to get more. So those 6 weeks felt like, okay, I have this title, this title, this title, and this title, and all the other stories I'd like to get more. So I think this is where the pressure comes from, right? Because people want to know more, but people intend to get kind of offensive with it, or aggressive.
Yeah.
Do you feel that pressure as well, like from consumer point?
I wouldn't say I feel the pressure.
All right.
I think, and we can talk about this in a little bit.
You can drink if you want to.
I'm good. I think I'm a player. Just like everyone else who works at...
not like that kind of player. You told me how much you play.
Not like that kind of player. I'm a player of video games. And so, I play somewhere between 700 and 1,200 hours of video games each and every year. Like, I go home, tuck the wife into bed, kiss the daughter on the forehead, and when they go to bed, it's my time. Like, from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., that's my time to get some gaming in. And I think that when I take a look at some of the cool stuff that Microsoft did yesterday with their press conference, some of the cool stuff that we did at Sony, the Final Fantasy remake and Shenmue and some of the things that so I'm like, oh my God, like I am as excited about those titles, and I want to go and talk to Yu Suzuki or any of these other guys and just say, hey, what are you going to do with this? Or what are we going to... I feel the same way that the players do about it. And so I understand that like, give me information. What I will say is, when you get the information, it'll be worth it. And I think that's the best way to kind of talk about that is we've released quite a bit of information about Horizon Zero Dawn so far, and we've backed that up with assets that we're able to show. And the next time that we talk about it in real detail, it's going to be backed up with some really cool stuff for you to see.
You know, the fun thing is it's so all it's done when it's done. So we all know the drill, we all know the rules. So you know, being excited can be sometimes a bit too aggressive, I think.
Yeah.
It's just like that. You know, the big differences between you and me is you can call Yu Suzuki, right? You can just call him and say, hey, dude,
I don't know.
Give me info.
I mean, we'd probably have a difficult conversation.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, let me get the translator in as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Well, have you met all the big names or a few of the big names? Because, you know...
yeah, absolutely.
I think so, right?
There are... You know, interestingly, my career is sort of youngish in the games industry, and there are certainly people in the industry that I consider heroes. People that I take a look up to and say, "Oh, I cannot believe that I'm having this gaming conversation, you know, with a Miyamoto or whatever it might be." There are certainly people that I feel like have shaped what I see in video games, and I've been playing games. Oh God, I remember. The original Nintendo Kid Niki and the original Metal Gear and Rygar and all these games that I was playing back then. And in fact, I finished 22nd at the 1994 Nintendo World Championships, the original esport. Yeah. So I've been
proud, man.
Yeah, proud like it's here.
You can feel it, man.
I got the plaque on my desk.
Nice, man.
So I feel like, you know, I'm just a gamer with everybody else, and being a gamer with everybody else, I can take a look at some of these amazing game creators and say, wow, you know, like the stuff that you guys make inspire me. But, you know, in fairness, some of those guys work at Guerilla. The stuff that Matthias has done with some of the Killzone stuff and the stuff that Jan Bart does with the art in those areas are stuff that I have looked up to at other companies that I worked at previous to coming to Guerilla and say, wow, the stuff that they do is really cool. And now getting to be a part of that team and getting to experience, we have this technical director named McKeel who's been working at the company since he was 16. And so, like, he's born with the Killzone engine, like, in his blood. Like, that's how long he's been around. And so, these guys are just, it's such an incredibly talented team that it's nice that we are able to show Horizon Zero Dawn and really, I think, show with Horizon how talented the team can really be.
All right. Have you been a senior producer of Killzone 4 as well?
No, this is actually the first game that I've worked on on Killzone. Yeah, previous to this, I did some work at some other studios.
All right.
Yeah, so I did some work on the Dead Rising franchise, and I worked on League of Legends, and then I worked at Sony previously on DC Universe.
All right, man.
So yeah, I've worked on a couple of different games.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. How did you start then?
Sorry?
How did you start then? You know, from 20 seconds record to making and building Horizon, new IP of Sony.
You know? it's actually it's an incredibly interesting story. I was actually in the Air Force in the United States, and I spent a lot of time in the Air Force not doing things. I was actually in Space and Missile Command, and so I was responsible for actually helping to lift the space shuttle and lift rockets. And,
you did that, really?
It was really cool, yeah. I was an airspace control officer. It was really cool.
Did you know that?
Yep. But we don't do that all the time. Like, you know, we have one of those every couple of months, and of course there's a lot of prep work, but there's also a lot of downtime. So
it's like in the games industry, right? Without the
nothing nothing like the games industry, in fact. And so during that downtime, I was actually doing a lot of writing about games, and I was doing some writing on actually EverQuest 2. And so just doing a lot of fan writing and stuff like that. And Sony, a couple of the guys at Sony had noticed that I was doing some writing, and I had actually created a fan site for these things. And I was a huge MMO guy. I loved MMORPGs and just played a whole bunch of them. And got reached out by Sony, and they said, hey, listen, we see that you're a lawyer and you did Air Force stuff, and what do you think about game design? And I was like, game design? Well, I did finish 22nd in the 1994 Nintendo World Championships. I don't know anything about game design. So we sat down and started being a game designer, and it ended up working really well. I picked up the scripting systems inside of what we were using was this modified Unreal 3 engine on DC Universe, and started scripting a whole bunch of the boss fights. And it really just stuck. And I knew, like, the minute that I started getting involved there, the first day I was scared as hell. I was like, I've made the worst career choice ever. I sat down and they were like, I thought designers just thought about things. Like, I thought our job was like, hey, we have great ideas. Hey, engineers, go make that stuff, right? And then they were like, no, you make your stuff too.
What? Is it?
And I
thought so too. Isn't it like that?
Yeah.
No.
I was like, no, wait, what? Like, I have to do my own scripting? Like, I have to, like, do the things? I was like, no, somebody else does that. They were like, no, you need to do that. I was like, I don't know how to do that. So,
really?
Yeah, that was really interesting.
You had to learn from scratch.
Had to learn from scratch. Totally had to learn from scratch. So, it was scary, but the best thing I could have done, especially now in production.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that producers come out of one of the major areas of game dev. Producers who have done art before, or producers who have been engineers, producers who have been designers, or even out of QA. You've been in one of sort of these major areas that you have an understanding of how the games are made. And then when you have a producer who also is as avid a gamer as I am, I think that's a good combination.
I think so too. You know, I think if you are familiar with the certain tools and different tools, then you can just communicate easier, right?
Yes, we spend a lot of time at Guerilla talking about tools.
Really?
A lot, yes. Yes, we do.
You have a little, tiny painful phase in there.
Well, when you transition away from one engine and one type of game to building something completely new and completely different, you make some tweaks.
I think so, man. Yeah. So, but you know, from my personal point of view, I'm quite interested in the whole industry story of the games industry, because you know, I stopped kind of just playing things and just messed around with the information I got. You know, I wanted to understand, okay, what is development about? So why does it take so long, such a long time to produce a game? Actually, so who's doing what? And right now, actually, because this is really special to Guerilla Games, I think you are able to just produce the AAA titles, right? So many other companies, they see the numbers of the markets and they say, okay, you know what? Let's do free-to-play mobile. Because, you know, the revenue is high and all that stuff. So how big is this question at Guerilla Games for yourself, right? Because, you know, it is a certain, from a business point of view, it's a you know, you have to think about that, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of the industry has headed in that direction. And obviously, you know, I mentioned that I'd worked on League of Legends previously. I mean, that was a free-to-play game.
It is the free-to-play game right now. So.
Well, sure. I wouldn't want to make that claim. There are a lot of amazing free-to-play games out there.
Yeah, man.
I think that, for me personally, I like making big AAA games. I like the idea that there are still experiences that we can make that drive people through a story that is a story that they have a hand in helping to create. That, especially with a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, where it is a large open world game, it is an action RPG, but there's a really strong character narrative. Aloy, the main character of this game, she has such a strong pull. You know, she asks these questions of herself that all of us ask. These questions of, who am I? And why am I here? And what's my purpose? And these are things that I can relate to as a person. I mean, these are things that I've struggled with over, you know, my time on this earth. And so I love the idea that we can ask these kind of questions and that we can put the level of quality that we're able to put on top of this and really draw people into a level of immersion that's both with the game mechanics and the graphical quality and the quality of the storytelling. I still think, I mean, obviously PlayStation 4 is selling incredibly well. I think, you know, at last glance, there's something around 25 million sold in at this point. Like, we're still selling them, just, especially here in the German market, they sell really well as well. So I think that there's still a hunger for these types of gaming experiences. I think the reality of the industry has been, it's just broadened. That for a long time we thought that these were the only kind of experiences the gamers wanted. And I think the indie scene, the free-to-play scene, the stuff that a lot of the really good Asian companies that are doing, you know, in Korea, I think that this entire industry is just showing how broad the industry actually is. You know, there's always, I remember back 5-8 years ago, it was the death of the PC. The consoles had come out and PC games weren't going to be made anymore. And I remember sitting there at Riot at League of Legends and going, it doesn't look like it's dead. You know, and it's the same thing right now, you know.
With mobile gaming.
With mobile game. It's like, it's the death of the consoles. Like, no. Like, look how many people are owning PlayStation 4s. Look how excited people are about Uncharted. Look how excited people are about, you know, some of these other games that are coming out. Halo that's coming out on the Microsoft side. So I think that this is just a growth in general of all areas of the industry. And it's also fantastic to see how broadly, not in terms of the different games that are being made, but how broadly the industry is becoming in terms of the players that are playing. You know, it's all ages, it's both genders, it's just this incredible diversity of gaming. And I think it's actually the best time to be a game developer, not just of AAA games, but of indie games.
Yeah, man. Man. And there's something heading out already, virtual reality, right? So
VR. Yeah.
Is it? Can we play Horizon in VR?
No.
No, it's okay.
Well,
no, the thing is, storytelling-wise and all that stuff. So this is really weird. VR is a new technology, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely new technology. So, and for you personally, do you maybe you can tell us about that. Working on different concepts. Do you have concepts in VR already?
So Guerilla actually has 2 studios, and some people know this, and some people don't. But there's actually a studio called Guerilla Cambridge.
Right.
And Guerilla Cambridge is responsible for making rigs.
Yeah,
which we showed at E3 as well. So actually, one of the super crazy things, and Herman, who's our studio managing director, the head of our studio, mentions this in a community video that we put together, thanking our fans.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, listen. Putting out a brand new IP is one of the hardest things we've ever done. But we didn't just do that at this past E3. We also put out 2 brand new IPs, one with rigs and one with Horizon Zero Dawn, and one that again is going to be a launch exclusive for the Morpheus. And so I'm not really involved with the Morpheus project so much. Of course, I played rigs. I'm really excited about the future of what that technology can do.
Yeah. So rigs, just for you people who don't know about rigs, rigs is a kind of a VR multiplayer shooter, right? So and it's a sportive game. So this area you have to jump in, and this is rigs. So the first kind of VR multiplayer shooter,
it's really cool.
Which will come out actually on the Morpheus, right?
Yep.
Weird. Yeah, actually, I saw the trailer yesterday, but I forgot that it's Guerilla as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Guerilla Cambridge. All right, got it. So there's one last question for me and myself. Media Molecule. So this is another company who works really, really well in terms of designing new ideas. Yeah. And they put a lot of effort in right now. This year's is Tearaway.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a DualShock, with all the fancy stuff like you can take photos and put them in the games and stuff like that. Yeah. Are you talking, internally about what can you do from your concepts to your concepts?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of communication between the studios. In fact, when we were out at E3, there was this big community mixer event for the PlayStation MVPs. Okay. And we got a real nice opportunity to sit down with the executive team from Dreams.
All right.
And it is always so refreshing to talk to them because
that looks so weird, man. the trailer Dreams.
I think it looks amazing.
Me too, but weird as well.
They think about games so differently.
Really?
It's for me at least. It's one of these inspirations. It's my 15-year-old daughter. She considers herself a gamer. I take a look and I'm like, but you play like 4 games. But she's a gamer. And Little Big Planet. Like she has a Little Big Planet, and this is before I came to work at Guerilla. Like she has been a Little Big Planet just fan since she was 10 years old. Like she loves that franchise. And when she saw, of course, she was watching the big E3 press conference to see how Dad and the new game and everything else.
Man.
And she was watching it, and the very first she calls me immediately afterwards, and she's like, "Dad, can we see Dreams? Like, can we
that
go
was
and
the first
thing? That was the first thing she wanted to talk about.
That's cool and bad as well, right? So
no, it's cool. It's like, well, she knew about Horizon.
But what about Horizon?
It's like, no, we have this really cool character. Like, no. No, she wanted to talk about... She has
red hair, man.
Yeah, which is cool. She wanted to talk about Dreams. We get a chance to talk to them, and they are... what a cool studio. So,
All right. Mark, I think... I just had a really brilliant time with you, man.
Yeah,
we could talk a lot, but actually, Gamescom just started. You got lots of interviews, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and let's just leave it like that.
Sure. Sounds good.
Congrats to your process so far. Yeah. Thank you for showing us on E3, man.
Yeah, good.
And hopefully we see the next couple of informations of Horizon really soon. Yeah. Let's just leave it like that. It's done when it's done, right?
Yes, exactly. Done when it's done. Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
So, liebe Leute, das war Mark von Guerilla Games, Senior Game Producer von Horizon Zero Dawn. Wir freuen uns wirklich sehr. Und ich weiß gar nicht, was jetzt auf unserem Sender passiert. Ich frage kurz zu Olli oder Steffen. Olli, Steffen, wisst ihr das? 12 Uhr schalten wir eigentlich. Wie spät ist es denn jetzt eigentlich? Es ist schon 10 vor 12. Oh, okay. Wir haben, I just say, I ask my colleagues what's up next on the channel because I didn't know. And actually, I have to move really fast because in 10 Minuten geht's unten weiter mit Rocket League. This is it.
Oh, what a fantastic game.
You want to come play?
Yeah, totally do. I get a feeling they might need me for something else, but I love Rocket League.
I got it, okay. Yeah. Mark, cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Bis gleich, Leute. Wir sehen uns in 10 Minuten.